Hey guys, and welcome to a new video. Today, update number 2 on the Gambler, the Gemling Legionnaire, now level 91.5-ish, right? And there has been quite some changes to my second version, right? So if you want to go into details, why do we do stat stacking? What is the interactions with like the Pillar of the Cage God, with the Hand of Wisdom and Action, and so on and so forth? Please watch the first video where I go over like the mechanics and stuff. Second video is, hey, I reached now endgame. How does it look like right now? What did I do to get mapping going, and so on and so forth? And now this is the second update, and there has been quite some changes. And now I was even able to do my first tier 18 Citadel, as well as my a full Sanctum run with all 4 floors. So now I got my my last 2 Ascendancy points, and I actually did the boss first try as well, without even watching a guide or anything like that, because I'm playing this game more of a solo self-found approach. This is kind of like a risky style because for example, I'm currently farming like breaches, right? And I have like soon my first breach stone, and that will mean that I will most likely be able, hopefully, to kill the boss, because there is still the Atlas passive tree. And as you see, 0 points in breach, 0 in expedition, we have 0 in what is Delhi, and 0 in Ritual, right? So this is kind of like the thing. There is like lots of currency to be made once I start defeating those bosses and get those points going. I did furthermore do like the Corrupted or tier 15 boss, tier 16, tier 17, and as I said before, the tier 18 Citadel. And now I need to finish the quest line of doing the Arbiter to get my last 2 points over here. But obviously, I'm scared to fail that because a breach stone is quite expensive. So if I'm trying it without knowing what the boss does, but I heard on tier 1 the breach lord shouldn't be that hard, so we will get our first points, which makes the breaches more profitable, and so on and so forth. So what has changed to the last episode? As you probably already saw, I'm playing now this on energy shield paste, and the way I do this is basically a combination of mind over matter plus CI, going some mana stacking instead of the blood magic version that I had before, and doing some other things like using a timeless keystone to convert one of my keystones to circular teachings, which says strength inherent bonus is 1% increased ES per 2 strength instead, because as we know, strength usually gives life, then we have dexterity gives accuracy, and intelligence gives mana. And those keystones, there are 3 different ones. And one changes the bonus of strength, like in this case, instead of life you get ES. Then there is dexterity, turns in, instead of accuracy you get increased armor, and instead of mana you can get increased evasion rating, which were all like kind of like possible options. But I decided, I was thinking about going energy shield since like 2 days already. And the main reason of that is the amount of chaos damage in this game. So as we know, getting res capped in PoE 2 is much harder than in PoE 1, because there is a lot less resistance on the tree, there is no resistance on the jewels, and overall, like, gear with like double res and the chaos res on top costs you like multiple divines, right? And I think that CI is just like the better version, just because ES is something you can scale, and life is something you can hardly scale. Yes, you can go like 2000 strength or potentially, right, and get like a couple thousand life and get like increased life modifiers on your gear, but there is only a very few. There is big limitations on your tree where you can get increased life, but there is a bunch of like increased energy shield nodes, so this is like way easier to scale. And now that we're CI, we're also immune to chaos damage, so that also means immune to poison and is immune to bleeding, which I think, especially in the harder maps in the late game, this is like very lethal in my opinion. There is so many chaos damage mods in PoE 2 that I think CI is like pretty good. And once we go into this like kind of like more intelligence stacking, we also get a lot of mana coming from our intelligence, so the best case to use that is mind over matter. And the big difference here is mind over matter says 100%, like all damage you take from mana before life. That's why I can get away with CI having only 1 single life, but still have energy shield. So the way that works is life is the most bottom line here, what the damage that I can get, right? It is protected by my mana now, which is a pool of 2,800, which is kind of acting as my life pool right now. But then there is energy shield that is protecting my mana because it's not life and before, like, first energy shield depletes, then mana depletes, and then my life would deplete, and then I'm dead. So that basically means I'm currently having like a 7,000-8,000 EHP pool, which makes me very safe against one-shots. We also run some armor, a good amount of evasion, we run Wind Dancer, we run a Grim Feast. I also was playing around with Ghost Shrouds, and so on and so forth. So how is this even possible, this entire interaction? Archmage builds are actually playing this with Eldritch Battery on top, and this is basically why you need this amulet, right? The amulet is the Everlasting Gaze, and now you will most likely wonder, like, yo, mbX, you always said you want to play Astromantis, and why do you make your defense based around the Everlasting Gaze? Because as you see, my ES pool is now 1800, I equip the amulet, and I'm getting up to 4.3, and this is like the lowest roll amulet possible, without catalysts, no anoint. I just bought this for 1 divine just to make the build work. So with a proper amulet going for a max roll on 30%, plus like ES catalysts and stuff, I would probably reach like 5,500, and so on and so forth, and plus with the Anoint, I would most likely go for Insightfulness for even more max mana, some mana regen, and percent intelligence. And the main reason why I'm against the Astromantis as of right now is Astromantis is ridiculously expensive, right? I'm doing okay, I would say. So I'm doing like, I have a couple of Exalts here and there, a couple of Divines, but an Astromantis costs me like 100 Divines. So I'm so far away from an Astromantis that I don't mind playing a couple of days on a more budget version, but way tankier version than what it should be to begin with, basically, right? Because this feels like so much better than the live version that I played before. Let me quickly do this trade, because I always, every time I record a video, I forget to put on D&D, right? So let me quickly fix that. Thank you very much. D&D/clear, kick out of party, and we can continue. So, and that's why I say, even if I would, like, let's just assume I have now a trade for 100 Divines, and I would have 100 Divines on my stash, I would still not buy an Astromantis, because an Astromantis gives you all attributes, and all attribute means more damage, more attack speed, more energy shield, more everything, right? But it's not mandatory, you know? It is a very good item, and it's definitely the best in slot item, and if I could afford it at some point, I will go for it and change my defensive layers again. But if I would have 100 Divines now, I would rather invest into other things, like the Darkness Jewel, for example, or the chest with, like, attributes and all resistance, as an example. I would go for a better build, maybe the Ingenuity build. I would try to get better rings, so I would need 500 Divines right now to then at the end of the day say, like, okay, now we're going to take the Astromantis. And I don't know why, but my game is crashing so freaking often. I think, like, this is my 20th crash today. It's kind of, like, annoying, but it is what it is. Cannot really deal against that or with that at the moment. So that is the point with Astromantis. This Everlasting Gaze amulet is the one where we get a percent of our mana pool back as flat ES, right? And since we now our strength is scaling percent ES, so we get our flat from sources of our gear plus our mana pool with the amulet back, and then we increase this amount with the increased energy shield rate on our skill points, basically, right? Good. That also means that all my bases are now basically energy shield bases, because we don't need the armor evasion and so on anymore. I'm still running like a Meganon's Girdle and so on, and that's basically the main reason what I did here. The tree has changed quite a bit from the left side here to the right side, and the main thing here that I changed, because I was doing like 5-6 different what do you say, trees overall, trying to get the most out of it, right? So I ended up actually using a tree like this, going like down here for the increased attribute nodes, plus the lightning rod, where your lightning damage from non-critical hits is lucky. But then I also wanted to go up here for the Eldritch Battery, or at least Mind of Matter and stuff like that. I think this is actually not here. So the main reason why I decided against it, so here we have one that goes on the right side on the middle of the tree, compared to the other one that goes on the outer side. And the reason why in the end of the day I went from the outer side is simply because the outer side here has a lot of jewel slots, right, where we can put in like jewels and timeless jewels. I needed a keystone. all this here in the middle, even though there is a lot like movement speed nodes and damage is extra cold, over here damage is extra lightning, a lot of like ES nodes, but all of this here has no jewel slots, and I needed to cap my resistance with a triple Grand Spectrum setup. Plus, I needed space for the heroic strategy for the Talon's Jewel, not affecting as many attributes, because for some reason, if you see over here, I have 504 intelligence, I put this in, my intelligence goes down. So for some reason, those 5 intelligence nodes are actually getting converted to 5 to any attribute, so they're currently just inactive. I don't know why this is probably gonna get fixed at some point, but I needed, that's the reason why I needed a space where I only affect 2 of those, plus I can convert 1 keystone, and this was like the perfect, what do you say, spot over here, right? Good. Let's talk about the skill tree to finish that off. So basically we go down here. This node is very effective because it's 1 point for 10 stats, and here is like 1 point for 5 stats, right? This is the same reason why we go down here, even though it has crit damage bonus and stuff, but it's still a 2 point for 25 dex. So this means 12.5 stats per point invested, which is insanely good. So we have here movement speed if you have attacked recently, more attributes, then the lightning damage is lucky. Here the spot for our Talon's Jewel. Then we have increased dexterity plus the attack speed per dexterity scaling. Over here we have defense while wielding a staff, which is also like very, very good. Just because, what is a defense? Defense is armor, evasion, and energy shield. So the increased defense over here gives me more energy shield, as well as the chest that I have here does also have global defense per socketed rune or soul core. I have 4 in there, so that's like 40% increased global defense. That's why my values on evasion rating is like above 6,000, so that also feels pretty good. Then we have here the more lightning damage, and then we go here with +1 to maximum ES per 12 evasion rating on our armor. So we have like a 590 or almost 600 evasion rating over here. That turns into flat ES. Strength and percent ES will scale our that value again. You get the story, right? So then the next thing, if we play energy shield, we kind of have to rely on the recharge rate as well as the faster start of recharge. Let me quickly remove this here because people are not going to sell anything anyways. So that's a lot of points. So basically how recharge works on ES, like you drop ES, and if you don't get damage for I think 4 seconds, your energy shield starts to recharge, right? But if you get like 1 hit every 3 seconds, you will never do that, right? But if you start recharging and you get hit, it actually stops you from recharging because it interrupts it, right? So the way we fix that, either we could invest like 8 to 10 points in getting more faster start of recharge rate, then I think here faster start of recharge rate, so we get instead of 4 seconds, we can maybe proc it every 1.5 seconds, so we are less reliant to not get damage for a certain amount of duration. Or we save those points, get more attributes, which scales our damage, our defense, and blah, 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 and take the Eternal Youth Keystone, which says life recharges instead of energy shield. We don't have life since we play CI, but most importantly, life recovery from flasks apply to energy shield instead. So my life flasks are now energy shield flasks. So now I'm having basically 2 ways of having life flasks, more or less. One on the energy shield, but if this one is completely depleted because I got like a freaking big hit, then my mana is tanking, so I still have my mana flask to have my second life flask, if you know what I mean, right? So that's actually pretty cool. Then with CI over here, more intelligence, a big ES node over here. We go for pure power, 2% increased damage, lightning damage per 10 intelligence, and that's the main reason why we do like more intelligence than the other 2 nodes. Because just based on priority, intelligence is the most important. It gives flat damage, percent damage, and defense with energy shield. Strength now also gives percent ES and weapon damage based on the Pillar of the Cage God. And then we have Dexterity that will give us a shit ton of attack speed based on the Pillar of God and based on the node over here with the Falcon Technique giving us attack speed per Dexterity. There is also a few points over here with the Falcon Dive, increased attack speed by accuracy, but I decided to not use that right now because I only have, what is my accuracy, like 4k, right? 4k, that's, I mean, it's still not bad for, what is it, 1, 2, 3, 4 points invested, but I think I need like higher, like Astramantis would be something like that. Then probably my strength and dexterity will go up to like 400 something at this part, right? And then I would definitely go onto Falcon Knife. But since my dexterity is like below 300 or 350, I said like I'm not gonna use the 5 points here just yet. And then we move over here to the Mind of a Matter, as I explained before. So now it's actually important to get a good life and mana flask, and my 2 flasks here sucks. I'm having those in Life Surge. I'm trying to get like amount recovered and that I get passively charges, because it's still like if I hold down my my Storm Wave, you see that my mana is going down. It recovers decently fast, but still, if I'm bossing, you know, and I just hold this down, it just depletes, and so on and so forth, and this doesn't feel good, so I need better recovery, more mana regen, as well as better mana flask to sustain all of that. So let's take a look at my skills. This is a very, very lazy setup now, okay? This has nothing to do with min-maxing anything. This is purely, I just want to map, I just want to press one button and I want to farm currency, right? This is not to do pinnacle bosses or anything like that. So no bell, no single target skills, and so on and so forth. So we have Stormwave with the Upheaval, which basically gives me, instead of 1 fissure, we now have 3 fissures. And if you have more and more AoE, they kind of start to overlap, which kind of like triples the damage in that case, if it works like that, shotgunning wise. But I don't think that I have enough AoE, or I need to really like stand in front of the boss that this would kind of work, or close to front of the boss. But I also have long shot because I kind of be on range. So this is like a little bit iffy here, because I have long shot as well as I have oh wait, no wait, no, okay, fine. I was playing close combat before, and now I turned into long shot just because I feel like going on range and just being on the save variant feels better for now, right? Then we have like basically Primal Armament, we have Martial Tempo and Lightning Infusion, because we don't have any sources of cold damage anymore, and I'm not even going Herald of Ice or anything like that anymore. I don't need this explosion, because this skill is just clearing hilariously. Like, if I have explosion or not, I think it doesn't really matter at this point anymore. Then I have the Hand of Chayula with Voltaic Mark, Conductivity, and the Hate and Curse. Wind Dancer with Maim, Pin, and Clarity. Then we have Grim Feast. We have Fast Forward on the Ghost. Now wait, Ghost Dance is currently inactive, because it's just like what I was testing, either Grim Feast or Ghost Dance. And then we have Herald of Thunder with Innovate, Lightning Exposure, and Strip Away. To maybe, if we're mapping and go to the map boss, to have some stacks of what do you say, Herald of Thunder, that we can maybe apply exposure at this point, but not really too necessary, because on the boss I go in with Hand of Chayula, apply my 2 curses, or 1 mark, 1 curse, and then just hammer away with my Storm Wave that you're gonna see at the end of the video anyways, in a full T15 or T16 map showcase, whatever I'm going to run at this point. Good, let's take a look at the gearing part. So I currently have like a weaker version of the pillar, because I sold my other one. The reason for that is I now want to go for a corrupted increased weapon damage 12% and get in 2 attack speed jewels that I'm currently having on Life Surge, the one that I tried to buy over here, but barely anybody replies back. The reason for that is I think the more intelligence that we get, the more damage we get from our gloves, and the less value the flat lightning damage has. But since we're scaling more and more attack speed with increased stats, if we get a higher base value of attacks per second, which you can do because the stall cores for attack speed are local to the weapon, so you have like 1.55 attacks per second or something, and then all the attack speed gets applied. So I think we're gonna have a faster build, or a better feels good build, because we scale from a better from a higher attack per second point of view, right? Then Helm still the same, Black Suncrest with all stats increased. I say again, order of importance, intelligence over strength over dexterity. Then the chest, still the attributes global defense. I would rather have an attributes all resistance, but they're like freaking expensive, and I need to save up currency to actually buy one of those. But I think the chest with all res plus triple Grand Spectrum should pretty much get rid of all of our resistance problem. Plus playing CI means I don't need Chaos Res, means I open up so many slots or sockets, or affixes, basically suffixes to be precise. Holy shit, because resistance and attributes are all suffixes, so the less resistance I need on my suffixes, the more attributes that I can get, the more damage, the more defense, and so on and so forth. Belt is just like some random placeholder just for some extra strength. Boots is basically mana, intelligence, resistance, movement speed, whatever you need. Same with the rings. I just don't need life anymore, because we play CI, we don't have life, so every life roll is kind of like getting pointless, but we want to get mana, because based on our mana, with the amulet, we gain a percentage of that mana SES that's then getting further scaled by strength again. You get the idea. And yeah, that is basically when it comes to the gearing part. Jewel-wise, there is nothing crazy. I'm running a triple Grand Spectrum. I already explained how that works with like each individual one gives you then more. So 1 gives you 4, 2 gives you double 8, and 3 gives you triple 12. So that's 36 all resistance instead of like 12 all resistance, right? This is just how the Grand Spectrums work per Grand Spectrum socketed, right? I have 3, so this is like 12, 12, and 12. And then I have some rare jewels, just like whatever you can get, plus the Timeless Jewel here with influenced by Verona to turn this into Circular Teachings. And that basically sums up my skill tree and my gem setup. So, what are we doing forward? So basically, I'm currently farming currency. I know I'm not like good at farming currency, but at least I'm getting a few divines every here and there. And soon, hopefully, we're gonna get some bigger drops once we start bossing, and then we can start investing. And I already told you the kind of upgrades that I would do next, but there is one specific one that I don't want to talk about it because I've seen nobody uses that kind of variation yet, so I want to keep it low profile, and as soon as I can afford it, then I want to build it into the character and showcase it to you guys. But, you know, as a content creator, it's always, like, bad if you talk about your future plans about items, because then people that have way more currency than I do are like, oh, mbX wants to do this, let's buy the entire market and make it, like, 10 times more expensive, and it's kind of annoying, so if I don't tell anybody what my plan is going forward, that just means the items that I want to buy are staying cheap or cheaper, and, yeah, nobody can, like, manipulate the market because of it. Good, I hope I didn't forget anything. Yeah, map showcase is about to follow, and tomorrow I'm going to upload my loot filter that I created in the past couple of days and trying to min-max it, and I'm having a lot of fun, or at least, like, I think it's a very, very good loot filter, but I'm going to explain more how it works and what do we hide and why do we hide it and so on and so forth in the upcoming videos. Alright guys, thanks for tuning in, thanks for watching, and see you in the next video.
Yeah.